Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I am here with the next update for my Pan That face palette. I'm very excited to share with you the progress today. I love this project actually. This is the first year that I'm doing this project. I never really felt the need to because I didn't have that many face palettes in my collection. So I just never felt drawn to do this project. But at the beginning of this year, well actually end of last year, I decided to pull the plunge and start doing this project. And I've been absolutely loving it. So I'm excited to share with you the progress today and where I stand with my Pan That face palette, which is the Hourglass Ghost Edit palette, by the way. But before I jump into that, if you're new here, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you in the family. Let's jump into the video. So like I said, I've been working on the Ghost Edit palette from Hourglass, and this is a beautiful palette that has 2 blushes, 2 finishing powders, 1 highlighter and 1 bronzer, and I'm showing you here what this has been looking like. I really do love this palette, and it's been a joy to reach for. Some shades have been easier to reach for than others, and at the beginning of the year I started off focusing on the 2 center shades a lot, so the center shade on the top row and the center shade on the bottom row, and I used those again quite a bit in the first couple months or so. Then as we got into the warmer weather, I'm not sure how quickly the progress pictures are going to go fast, but you will see this eventually. I actually switched my focus quite a bit to the last blush in the palette as well as the first shade, which is another finishing powder, because again those were kind of more summer shades for me. The finishing powder was a little bit deeper, and the last blush is a little bit more summery in my opinion, so that's where I switched my focus. I did also realize that I was neglecting the highlight in this palette quite a lot, so I needed to step up my usage game on that one too. So it's been another focus over the past couple of months. So yeah, hopefully at this point you will be seeing what it looked like at the last update. At that time I had really good use on a lot of the palette. I had already hit pan on quite a while ago, actually, the center shade on the top row, and I had also hit pan on the last blush. I'm really happy with the change in the past month because this is what the palette looks like today. So you can see maybe some obvious changes. I had one goal which is very clearly accomplished, and that was to finish the last shade. So I'm really happy that that's done. And other than that, I have just been using the palette overall. Not sure how much you can see in the actual progress videos, but I can definitely see a lot in person. So yes, I am very excited with what this palette looks like today. Again, this is what it looks like right now. I will also have the comparison pictures up here so you can see the difference. But let me start going through the numbers. So we're going to start off with the first shade in the palette, which is again one of those 2 finishing powders, and this is the shade Dim Light. This is one that I wanted to focus on in the past month just because it is again a little bit deeper, and I thought like I could get the most use out of this one now before we get into the colder weather and before I stop fake tanning, which actually I'm not wearing any fake tan right now. So I wanted to focus on this one in the past month. I had a goal to reach for this one 20 times in the past month, and unfortunately I didn't quite get there. I used this one 16 times, but I'm really happy with that still. And I can definitely see this one is very flat now. Again, I don't know if you can see that, but I think if I hold it like this, you can see how flat it is. And I do think that if I keep using this one, I might be able to pan on the next month. That would be amazing because we are getting to the last stretch of the year. So being able to see pan on a few more of these products would be amazing. So I think that might be one of my goals, but I'm going to discuss the goals at the end. But for now, yeah, I'm really happy with the use on that one so far. Then moving on to the second shade in the palette, we have the shade Diffuse Light, which is another finishing powder. This is one that I, of course, already have a big pan on, and I have been trying to stay away from this one because I know I'm going to use this one a lot when we get into like October, November, December, which is obviously coming up very quickly. But I'm saving this one until I have more use on Dim Light. So with this one, I have actually used it a couple times in the past month, but that is only 3, so I don't know if you can see any difference in the pan. I'm expecting not, but yeah, I do have 3 uses on it. Then we have the last shade on the top row, which is the highlighter, and this one is called Iridescent Strobe Light. And with this one, I have a goal every single month to reach for this one 10 times. And if I don't reach those 10 uses, my previous uses roll over to like the next. Well, like what I'm missing is rolls over to the next month. So that was actually the case last month because I had only used it 6 times last month. So those 4 additional uses I rolled over to my goals this month, which meant that I wanted to use this one 14 times. And I'm very happy to say that I have accomplished that. I actually reached for this one more than 14 times. I got a whopping 18 uses out of this highlighter, which is really good considering I'm panning a lot of other highlighters. And again, this one is definitely flattening out. The reason why I was stalling with this highlighter quite a lot at the beginning of the year was because this is more of a subtle highlighter. But I have found in the past month that if I use this one mixed with my blush, I really do like how it looks. So what I've done a lot of the time is using this blush right here, mixing it with this highlighter, and that's how I got a lot of use on it. It kind of tones down the blush a little bit and it gives more of a glowy cheek, which is something that I really do enjoy. So I'm probably going to continue using it that way because I can see a lot of progress in this highlighter using it that way. So that is the top row. Moving on to the second row, we have the bronzer first, and this is the shade Eternal Bronze Light, which is one that I use here and there, but I am kind of waiting with this one a little bit again because I feel like this is more of a winter bronzer for me than a summer one. And again, I am usually fake tanning a little bit. Again, I don't have any right now, but I have been fake tanning over the past month on and off, so this one I haven't been using as much because I'm trying to finish up another one which suits me better, or another bronzer which suits me better in summer. So with this bronzer, I have only used it 5 times, but I'm fine with that. I'm not worried about this one at all. I mentioned that since the start, and even though I only reach for this one a handful of times each month, you can hopefully see again how flat that product is in there. So I know that if I was focusing on this one, I use it like every single day for a month or a month and a half, this one would easily be done. So I'm kind of again just reaching for it whenever I feel like reaching for the specific bronzer. Then we have come to the last 2 products in this palette, which is the 2 blushes. The first one is the shade Iridescent Rose, which is the one that I'm currently focusing on for a very obvious reason. And this one I have reached for 12 times in the past month, which I'm happy with. I'm hoping you can see some difference in this blush. It had definitely kind of flattened out in this corner right here, and I would have actually say as well that I have hit pan on it. Hopefully you can see that right there. I will count that as pan because I feel like you can definitely see the bottom of the product, and with these baked products you never really hit pan in the center, at least not with these like smaller pans, because I feel like, I don't know, I feel like I use them very evenly, and because they are domed, this sides usually hit pan quicker, so that's the case here too. So would you count that as pan? I feel like I count this as pan, but with these, like, it's not very obvious exactly when you hit pan, so I don't have an exact use or anything when I hit that pan, but overall I would count that as pan now. But let me know what you guys think. So of course, with the next shade, which I'm going to talk about in a second, being done, this is going to be my main focus moving forward. It's the blush that I'm wearing today. I'm wearing quite heavy blush today. Maybe I want it a little bit heavier than I wanted, but that's okay. It's just makeup. I love actually this look that I made today. It's one for my Big Fat Eyeshadow project. But yeah, I love this blush. It is very, very nice. I do think it's going to go a little bit slower than the one next to it. I already know that I have more uses, I think, on this one than I did on Sublime Flash, which I'm not going to talk about, just because it is a little bit more pigmented than that blush was. So we'll see how it goes with this one in the next month. I'm hoping to have some really, really good visible progress on it though, but I know there's no chance I can finish this one in a month. So if I can use to like clear up like that top corner and even out the bottom a little bit, I'll be very, very happy, and maybe I can have this one done in the next 2 months, but ultimately we're just gonna have to see. Then the last product in the palette was the shade Sublime Flush again, which is that last blush. This is the one that I have finished in the last month, and that was also my goal. I did say in the last update I didn't think it would take too much more use finishing this one up, and it did take 10 additional uses, which is really, I guess, reasonable, and considering how much was left. It was very flat, so you know, it did go quite quickly towards the end. So 10 more uses to finish that one for a total of 99 uses. We almost got to 100 even, but barely. So yeah, 99 uses to finish that blush, and I'm really, really happy to have my first completed pan in this palette. So those are all my uses for the past month and where I'm standing with this palette today. Again, even though I don't really have pan on more than like these 2, and then obviously this one is finished, all 3 of these are now relatively thin. I would say that when it comes to like thinness, the bronzer is probably like definitely, I think, the thinnest, even like more thin than the bottom part of this blush, but this one is the thinnest. And then I would say dim light is probably slightly thinner than this one, but the highlight has definitely thinned out quite a lot in the past month, so I'm excited to see how much that moves in the upcoming month too. So I'm gonna go ahead and I think we're going to do the weights first, and then I'm going to talk about my goals at the very end. So let me move on and talk about the weights. Alright, so if I look down, it's because I have my notes. That's always the case. If I ever look down in a video, it's because I have my notes right there. But let's talk through the weights. So just a quick recap. The palette weighed 138.32 grams. at the beginning of the year, and it has 8.4 grams advertised weight, which means that in order to finish this palette according to the advertised weight, I would have to finish 0.70 grams per month. So that is my goal. In the first quarter, I reached for 2.33 grams of this palette for a goal of 2.1. So that was my quarter 1 usage. In quarter 2, I reached for 2.14 grams. So just over that, again, 2.1 gram goal, which I was really happy with. And then let's move on to quarter 3, because we are actually going to wrap up quarter 3 as well in this video. So first up, we're going to talk about July. So in July, I was able to finish 1 gram exactly. So that was the first month. In August, I was able to finish 0.93 grams, which again, I was really happy with. Slightly less than in July, but that was fine. And that is also the last update. So at that point, I was standing at 131.92 grams with this palette. That was my point at the last update. And today, the palette weighs 131.16 grams, which means that I have lost 0.76 grams in the past month. So that is my current weight. And that also, adding everything together, means that I have used up 7.16 grams of the palette in total throughout the year. So really, really happy with that, especially because the advertised weight is 8.4. I'm getting really, really close to that number. And realistically, I think I would be able to get to that weight in 2 months, but I definitely think there's more weight in this than in what is advertised. So yeah, anyway, that is it for the last month. To sum up quarter 3 as well, again, my goal for every quarter is 2.1 grams. That is basically 0.7 times 3. So that is my goal for every month. And the total that I have for quarter 3, I'm really, really pleased to say is, I think, yeah, it's the highest that I've ever had for a quarter. I actually have 2.69 grams used up in quarter 3, which again, I am super pleased with. I think I did really step up my usage in the last couple of months. I think I can have a heavier hand as well when I'm a bit more tanned. And also that using that lighter blush meant that I used it a little bit more heavily as well. So I think that is why my usage was higher in these past couple of months. Just to sum up as well, for the total kind of weight, again, that was 7.16 grams. And to be on track for the total weight at this point in time, my goal would have been 6.3 grams, which means that I am almost a gram ahead of schedule. I believe that is about, what is it? I think it's 0.84 grams, right? Otherwise, editing Sophie, let me know, ahead of schedule, which again, I'm super pleased with. So yeah, that is my weight for now. And again, I'm super pleased with what this palette stands weight-wise. All right, so those were all of the weights and all of the stats. Let's move into my goals next. So of course, we do have the standing goals to use this highlighter 10 times. That's still going to be the goal. I do think I'm going to push myself and reach for it more than that, just because I have been mixing it with the blush. But I'm going to stick with 10 for now. So that is the first goal. I do also have the goal to clear up, let me see, this corner right here with this blush and try to show some more pan in that one. That is kind of like a vague goal, but yeah, I mean, if I could finish up like half of the pan, so half of the pan is showing, that would be amazing. But yeah, try to hit proper pan on that blush for sure. Then I do still want to keep using dim light because I know that I need to get some good use out of that one again now before we get into the colder months. So I'm going to put another usage goal of 20 on that one. And I do hope that I'm going to hit pan. So like 20 uses / pan is going to be my goal for dim light. And I think those are going to be the 3 goals that I'm sticking with for this palette. So yes, that is my update for my Pan Face palette. I am super excited with where this palette stands today. Am I worried about any of the shades? I mean, how many months do we have? We have 1 quarter left. We have 3 months left. So, you know, it might be a little bit worrying maybe for the highlighter, but I think if I can get some good use out of it, continue mixing it with that blush, I think that should be fine. Again, I do think I can have this blush out in 2 months. I'm not worried about that one. I think this one can be done in 1 month once I focus on it. I think the bronzer as well might be done within at least like 2 months of consistent use. So I'm not worried about those either. So the only 2 shades that I'm a little bit iffy about is, again, that highlighter and maybe dim light, because we'll see how late I can use this one or if it's going to be too dark for me eventually. I think I can buff out my bronzer with it though if it gets like to a point where I'm too pale to use it, like on my cheeks, so as a finishing powder. So we'll see, but that is again where I'm standing. And yeah, let me know what you think. Do you think I'm going to be able to finish all the shades in here before the end of the year or not? I think so. I do think so. Even though I'm worried about certain shades, I do think I should be able to finish this whole palette this year. So yeah, that is it for today. Let me know how you're doing with your Pan Face palette down below. As always, I love hearing your updates, as always. And other than that, I hope you guys are having an amazing day wherever you are, and I will catch you in my next one. Bye guys!